to say La ilaha illallah. The baby said it twice. Then he
Right.
started talking.
Right. So what I'm trying to understand, I'm still trying to get to the part where this was a bad dream. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's this guy's interpretation.
Okay.
Because the
So
only thing
so
I
so
saw was, that it was a boy. I mean,
right.
I understood that it was a boy.
But
It didn't
hang
sound
on.
like
I
a
mean,
girl.
you actually make a very important point, right?
Yes.
What was the dream about? So
Hey, if I could tell you that, I would. All I can tell you is what happened. I haven't figured it out yet, although I know this is what, maybe almost about 5 years, had to be, but 6 or 7 years ago, right? And I still remember it because it takes a while to figure those dreams out. Because I'm not that knowledgeable and I don't know anyone around who are into dreams
all right.
enough to give
All
me the
right.
clues.
All
See what
right.
I'm saying?
All right. Just for the record, tell me
Okay.
exactly what was the dream about from start to
Okay.
finish.
Start to finish, sitting on the line. You know how you get to the masjid ahead of time, make the sunnah prayer, then you just sit and wait for it's time for the Iqamah and so forth. We were sitting there. Now, this is during Ramadan. This is during Ramadan. Okay.
So the
Something just told me to, how a sense tell you to do something. That sense told me, said, look back, turn around. And I look around, and lo and behold, this child is coming down from the ceiling as if someone is lowering it down from the ceiling, coming down slowly. And it looked like a wire or a rope or something. But my mind wasn't focused on the wire. It was focused on it's a baby in swaddling clothes. And I said, well, and I looked around and see if somebody's going over there and get the baby, but no one did. So I just turned around and walked on back there and caught it. You know, in fact, it came right into my hand. That's how close it was to the floor. And I'm 5'6". And I looked and something say, tell him and say, La ilaha illallah. That was a sense to me. So I did that. And he said it twice. And then I look around and said, wait, he said it. And before I could finish that, he said, I've got things to do, but before I can do that, I got to finish with this business that I'm doing. When he said he got to finish with his business, now his words are not exactly the same now because I'm kind of come as close to what he said, right? Because I don't remember the wording, but he said I haven't finished my business. Like he had something he was already doing or doing prior to him doing what he came to do. In other words, he had two things that he had to do. He had to finish up what he's doing now, and he has to something new he has to do. I don't know what either of those are. But after that came the pandemic, which is years later. See what I'm saying? And
but
but the nearest thing came was my vision. I had cataract surgery, and that's when my vision. I now have low vision.
okay, that's those two events were the aftermath of the dream. So let's take a step back and just look at the dream.
Okay.
You mentioned that something told you to say to the
To tell
baby,
the baby say La ilaha
La
illallah.
ilaha illallah. And you also mentioned that this was during Ramadan.
Yes.
When you had the dream, it was during Ramadan. Is this what you mean? Or do you mean
Yes.
that, okay,
Yes. All this
okay,
occurred during Ramadan.
okay,
This dream
all
occurred
right.
during Ramadan.
So,
Before
so,
the 10 days.
so before the last 10 days.
Yes.
Excellent. That's great. But to make very clear what happened, when you heard the sense that told you to turn around, and you turned around, you looked up, and you saw a baby coming down.
Yes. From the ceiling.
You said
Okay.
it was dressed in clothes.
Dressed in a diaper.
Only a diaper?
A diaper. I said swaddling clothes. That's what I meant. Like a diaper, wrapped
Okay.
in a diaper. Now, where that rope or whatever was connected, I don't know.
It's that part I'm not as concerned, but you said it
Okay.
was wrapped in something. Was it wrapped in
I said swaddling clothes because I saw the white diaper. I saw the white diaper around it, or pamper or whatever it was. It was white, and I
Okay.
saw his head,
All right.
and his
So
head was not laying down. His head was sticking up as if he had some strength enough in his head because normally they tell you to hold the baby's head so it won't just lay down like that. His head was not laying down.
Okay.
It could be now that the diaper was fixed in such a way that it also held the head.
All right. Was this a dark or light skinned baby?
Uh, it was not. It's hard to say. Let's say it was not dark skinned, but
Okay.
it was not white. It was not Caucasian like either.
Did it have curly or straight hair?
I don't know.
Okay. Did you look
I didn't
close
look at
into
that.
the eyes to see what color were the baby's eyes?
No, I didn't do that. I was
Okay.
overwhelmed with the dream. I
All
didn't
right.
think it was
Okay.
possible, so I didn't get into those things.
We're getting somewhere, right?
Okay.
So you said that something said for you to say La ilaha illallah, which means none is worthy of worship except Allah.
Yes.
Do you?
I wanted to make sure that it was not a devil.
Okay.
And had he not said that, I probably would have just dropped it.
Right. I understand.
See, I've been dreaming so long. I have little precautionary things I'll do
It's
in the dream to
okay.
make sure it's not a devil or no trying to trick me or anything like that. And that was one.
Right.
That's why I told him that.
It's okay. We're trying
Okay.
to move along to where you said that he repeated it twice.
Twice, yeah.
And then
said it once, but
he
said
mentioned
it
to you that he had, in your words, business, but he could have used the word affair or matter.
Yeah, but he didn't do that. He did say business. I do know that. That was one of the words that he actually
So,
said.
so the business word, you're saying this was definitely a word he used.
Yes, definitely. And
Good.
when he said business, I thought he meant, excrement.
All right. Okay, no problem. So you also mentioned earlier that once he said that, then a group of women came and they took the baby from you.
Yes, because I held it up from me. Because I didn't want to get it on me. And
right.
the women sisters came on up and took the baby.
Will you give the consideration to the assertion that these women were his relatives?
I said no. Why I said no? Because pretty much everybody saw this baby coming down. That's why.
And you're the only one who went. Forward. Nobody came forward, including the women at the time.
Forward. So that's why I went there.
Okay. Another question I had for you was, once they came and they took the baby from you, is that...
I woke up.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to make sure.
Yeah,
that practically ends the dream. I think if you listened to the Prophet ﷺ's legacy, you will know that at the end of his life, he did mention to the Sahabas in reference to the dream, meaning that it was the only continued revelation that the believers would receive, would be the...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we want to make sure that you understand, as far as the baby saying La ilaha illallah twice, this is already a indication that this was a good dream. This was not a bad dream.
Yes.
It did not indicate bad things there when it comes to La ilaha illallah. It cannot be repeated, and it cannot be substantiated by any other than those whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent to do so. These are the malaika. Okay. And there's a good chance that seeing others around in a place of worshiping Allah are actually malaika. They're not just any human beings, because human beings cannot just come into your dream. So as far as the two things that the baby said that they had to do, things that you are wondering, what they could actually mean.
Exactly, that's the big question.
Okay.
Those two things, his business and what he's gonna do.
As we note earlier, that you became, well, you were baptized, right?
Yes.
And at that time, you said something back then. This was when you were, I don't know how old you said you were when you were
Oh,
baptized.
probably 11 or 12.
Okay, all right. So you said, what did you say? You remember what you said?
Uh, you are you referring to the time when the minister asked me how long am I going to serve Jesus?
Correct.
Right, that's the question. I didn't
Uh-huh.
know what to say
Would
because before then I had told myself I don't know what this is, Lord, so I'm gonna just do what my mother tells me. That was before I got baptized. After I got baptized, because they took us to another church with water in the floor, right? When we came back to the original church, then the minister asked all of us who had gotten baptized, how long are you going to serve Jesus? And someone say, how long are you going to serve God or whatever? But I know he meant Jesus. And I just said something that the others were saying. So I said, but before I said it, I said, Lord, I don't know what I'm saying, but I'm just going to do what the rest of us do. But one day I'm going to find out who you are, something like that. I don't know my exact words, but that's what I told myself. And
mm,
I felt, better by saying that than just blabbing it up what everybody has to say.
okay.
And I didn't say who. I just say I'm gonna serve him all my life. That's all I said.
You
I didn't say
also
Jesus.
you also mentioned that when you woke up, sometime later,
Okay, now
this,
what you back to the dream now, right?
well, we're back to, yes, discussing the aftermath of the dream.
Okay.
When you woke up at some point, you became blurry at vision.
Now this was not a part of the dream. The dream just ended. Bam. See, but later on, maybe months, I would say at least months or a year later, I was driving down the road and the meridian. I couldn't see the meridian. This was during the early morning. It was dark. Okay, and I could see. And I said, "Oh, my vision is going." So I just figured I needed to change the glasses. But when I got to the doctor, he said, "No, well, maybe you need cataract surgery, but I don't want to do that right now. Let's try to wait until it gets milky." Evidence that's a better. So I waited. So I guess I waited maybe about 8 or 9 months before that happened. But meanwhile, he gave me some glasses, a new prescription. It didn't work. New prescription did not work. I took it back to him. I said, "You sure this is the right prescription?" He said, "Well," I said, "Well, sometimes maybe you got a little astigmatism in one of your eyes. Maybe that's throwing it off." And we went back, and the eyeglass guy, he did them always say, "Well, no, that's not it either. That wouldn't be causing what you're seeing." So I went back. He said, "Okay, well then we need to go ahead and have that cataract surgery." So now this about two years have passed. Then when he got ready to do the surgery, my eye pressure went up. See, I have glaucoma. So I was a glaucoma suspect when I got out of the military in '99.
And
So
that's by the way, when you said the military,
mhm,
I wanted to ask you because you've been a military man
yeah,
and you were a military man for over 27 years,
27 years. Yes,
correct? And
correct.
then you did, was it inactive duty?
Yes, inactive duty. See,
Okay,
because I had a break. I was drafted first while I was playing music. I had an 11-year break,
okay.
and I was playing music.
So you
Then
had an,
when
and then
the
they,
band broke up, I said I'm going back in the military. That's easy money there. So I went back. That was inactive service.
I see. And when you went into the military the second time, you went in as a Muslim. You were already Muslim.
No, no, no. I was not. I was not Muslim when I went back. I was thinking. I'm trying to find things because I know. Remember I told you every year since I said that when I was 11 or 12 years old, every year would come back on me and say, "Well, when you gonna find God?" You know, you know that little memory thing. You
Okay.
always say you're gonna do things
Very
and
good.
it keep
So
coming back at you.
what I'm trying to understand is that
Go
when
ahead.
you did become Muslim, you were actually in the military at that time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And from that time until you left the military, from the time that you became Muslim to the time that you left the military was how many years?
Mm, I did 6 years in the military. So let's say I did 2 at the beginning, break, came back and did 4 more years in active army. It was during those 4 years that I was going towards becoming a Muslim.
That
Because
you
when I went
became
to Germany, that was my last 6 months of the
okay.
army.
So how many years did you spend in the military as a Muslim?
Mm, at least 12 years.
Okay. And at
When
any
Imam Zia was there, I was in the military.
I remember. This we remember. And at
Yes.
any point in your search for Islam, whilst being in the military, inactive or active duty, did you come to understand Muhammad Rasulullah in terms of Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad, alayhi
No,
salatu wassalam? Um,
no,
no.
no,
Okay.
no, none of that. See, because I only time I heard of anything like that was every now and then. What's this guy on the radio? What's that brother name? Uh,
Jamil Alameen or
no,
Siraj
no, 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 no.
Jahaj
This
or
man, he's been like that other. Was it hey, I can't think of these words. Won't come to me.
that's fine. That's fine.
Uh,
But
you know who I'm talking about. He always talk about the Jews. He was on the radio long before I knew there were even Muslims in Richmond, in Virginia.
is it?
What's his name?
I cannot
At
remember.
this fish market and stuff. Maybe you were not in the country then.
Maybe not. Maybe
At a
not. That's
fish market,
possible.
he always talked about
I
the Jews.
mean,
I used to say,
I'm
wow,
trying
he's not
to
afraid to be killed.
I'm trying to zoom it to the two topics, one being the dreams and the other one being the Prophet's military career. Because so far,
Yes.
his military career has been taken out of the pages of Islam as it's taught today.
Okay.
So, what it is we're trying to make very comprehensive to the Muslim nation is the importance of this military legacy that he left behind. And we cannot fully understand the legacy until we understand that he himself was a military man.
Oh, you're telling me that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in the military?
He was a military commander. He commanded the Muslim
Oh, I
army.
see what you're saying. Not as I'm thinking about it. He was the commander because they fought all those wars. I never thought about thinking of it that way.
It's okay, we're getting there.
But now I see where you're
So
going.
the dream has to do with this information, Muhammad Rasulullah.
Okay, how do you come up with that? Did he
Well,
see a baby like that?
well, there's no La ilaha illallah in completion without Muhammad Rasulullah.
Oh,
If you
I see what you're saying.
if you have La ilaha illallah and it's not based off of Muhammad Rasulullah, then you do not have La ilaha illallah. So when you have the Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, then you will complete the actual shahada, which is La ilaha illallah Muhammad
Yeah.
Rasulullah.
I'm coming from, my mind is coming from two directions. Okay, there were prophets before Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right?
Sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
Wasn't that so you're saying that phraseology was not used with Moses and some of the other prophets? Is that what you're telling me?
When they used it, they were taking covenant, just as we're taking covenant.
Okay.
And when they took covenant from their people, And this covenant was in the respect of La ilaha illallah.
Okay.
It was also communicating to them of the prophethood, because they were not just giving covenant oath of allegiance to anybody. They were giving oath of allegiance to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the actual prophet at that time. And so when he took covenant from them, he also made it clear to them of the next prophet that would come, until finally Muhammad Rasulullah. He is the sealing of all prophets. And this is something in which, again, fell. You were in the military for 12 years, but you did not, you were not taught Muhammad Rasulullah. You were not taught.
Exactly.
So this is the issue.
Now, understand, when this occurred, I already knew about all of this. I mean, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah.
Well,
I knew about all of that.
The problem,
when I saw the dream.
right? The problem is that knowing the statement is one thing. Understanding it is something else. Living by it is completely different. And of course, if you are in the military and you're spending years upon years saying La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, you understand it, but you're not able to make the connection that the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, his last 50% of prophethood was all military. From the beginning of the Madani period to his last breath is all military. So you see what happened. Now, I'm not going to tell you this is exactly what the dream means, because I myself am not a dream interpreter. I will tell you that there is definitely no indication of negative or badness there. That much I can tell you.
Okay, I can see that, yes. I never did. I just quoted what the brother was telling me.
Okay. And again, because of the place, it's strange that you're fuzzy about the colors, but that's fine.
Yeah.
But the indication in the baby not only saying it once but saying it twice.
Twice, yes.
Also corresponds with the amount of business he told you. You said he told you that there were two things that he needed to take care of.
Now, okay, now that's a good one. That's a good point.
It's okay. When we get through to the bottom of our conclusion, I think you will like that even more so, because I myself am not a dream interpreter, but
okay,
I studied extensively, and the book that you're talking about, I believe it's Muhammad ibn Sirin.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
I understand.
Yes. That's the one.
Right. No, I understand. But I don't study. I actually wrote a book on dreams, which is not publicated yet, but I don't stick close to, not quite as much as I used to be involved back in the early 2000s. In the early 2002, yeah, I was really involved. But at some point, I broke free away from, wanting to go to sleep to have dreams.
You understand that I was a dreamer from 10, 11, 12, all through years old.
Here's a very important connection that nobody's bothered to make about dreams.
Okay.
Do you know in Islam what a mukallaf is? A mature individual, right? A mature male.
Okay.
All right, let's stick to male. A mature male in Islam. What is a mature male defined in Islam? Do you know?
No.
Okay.
Well, if mature, then that means he's mature of mind.
Okay.
Thought, and actions.
Okay. Hold on a minute. We're talking about, let's be specific. How in Islam do we know that this male is now able to have children? They're able to ejaculate inside and get a woman impregnated. How do we know that in Islam?
No.
Okay, that's
You're talking about in general, right? Not the dream, in general.
Well, we're getting to the dream part. Right? Right? But isn't it strange that Islam says before anything the sign is a dream. They have to have the first wet dream that they have. And so
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
that's where, that's correct. And that is where the male is known to be a mukallaf, a mature. Now, no one, it seems like everybody is oblivious to that fact. But it's
Okay.
right there in, the authentic
What's the
legacy.
importance of that?
Well, we're getting to tackle the main reason for the structure issues in Muslims today. What is the main reason why Muslims fail to unify and to prosper together? What is the main reasons why Muslims are divided?
We don't have a Khalif.
Okay. And this is because, well, we have, people who are in the masjid.
A living one.
Right. But you do understand that, the reason why we do not have that is because we do not have the discipline of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam's military career. His military, because you are a military person, when you know the chain of command in military, leadership in military.
So this is what's going to happen. This is what has to happen. The future. Maybe that's what it is.
Well, we don't want you to, publicize that just yet. If you would just, allow it to, play itself out.
What do you think? Do you think that's what it is?
Well, we are not, again, able to. I'm not, again, I told you before that I was not going to. I think when I told you about the conclusion, I said when it gets to the conclusion of this, you will really like it. But I have not myself reached the conclusion on it, and I don't have that authority.
You have to study what I've told you yourself.
Absolutely, I will.
Okay,
I will
that
have
makes
to
sense.
do,
That makes sense.
Yes,
but it sounds like you're heading in the right direction. Okay, before we go any further with it, I need to tell you another one. And you think about that one before you reach the conclusion.
Okay.
This is another one that happened in the mosque. This was a vision. My visions are horrific. This was a vision. Okay? Fajr time. Brother Muhammad had returned from Hajj. Okay? I think he went there and another brother too, but Muhammad was there first, I think. And they told him to lead the Quran. Lead the Fajr. Okay. Right. I was standing next to my brother online with the rest of the brothers. Well, four, no, won't four because Fajr. So the brothers still don't come to the mosque like we should. Okay. But I guess we had but 12 or 15 people on that front line. Okay. Brother Muhammad started off with the surah. I don't know what surah it was, and it wasn't familiar to me because I don't know all of the surahs. But anyway, my mind seemed to waver, go off topic a little. And I could still hear him, but all of a sudden, it got loud. As if he was, because back then we weren't using the microphone. But his voice got loud, really loud, like he was giving a football, really loud, okay? And so I turned my attention to him. And I said, wow, this brother's loud. Not loud to hurt your ears, but loud enough as if he was standing standing up there and there were millions of people behind him. All of them would have heard him. And all of a sudden my heart started going boom, 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 like this. And I thought maybe I was having a heart attack because I've never heard my heart beat like a drum. And I'm still thinking, I see you in prayer, you can't do this, you can't do that. But I kind of looked down at my chest. My chest was gold. Like a gold band was around the upper part of my chest going over my heart. It was shiny. And every time I looked at it, and I said, I didn't know what to do. It was frightful. I didn't know what to do. First, because of the sound of my heart and the beating, and then listening to a brother with that uh, do this a lot like that, all those things was coming at me, and I was just hearing. I said, "What is going on here?" I'm talking to myself, trying to figure out what is happening. So I said, and that was before I had learned that your hand's supposed to be on your upper part of your chest, not right over your navel. In that era, when they had taught me when I first became a Muslim, it was up there where my hands normally should be. But anyway, it was going doom, doom. I could look, and it didn't change. So I just looked. I kind of turned my head just to look back to the side. I got to my eyes basically to see on my brother's side to see what everybody else was doing, if they heard what I was hearing. But nobody else was doing it. They were just, staying there naturally. And I kind of looked to the right, and it seemed like I was the only one who could heard this. What the brother, what Rafat was doing, so loud, and my chest was still beating, boom, boom. I could hear my heart, and my chest was still gold, like a gold brand where the upper chest going over my heart. And then finally, he came to the end of the prayer, and he sat down. Now check this out. On the opposite side of my brother, 3 or 4 brothers dressed, in Muslim dress and stuff, not civilian clothes, came up there in front of Brother Rafat and bowed, and then turned and left where some brothers were. I don't know how they walked right through them like that. And then I watched, and they just disappeared. They seemed to went on up as if there was a balcony, a second floor. And I couldn't, but I just stayed there awed, man.
Wait
and
a second.
I didn't know what to do.
Wait a minute. So I think that part right there, I just need to make sure I'm clear on it.
Okay, go ahead.
On the side where your brother, you mentioned looking
on my left. My
on your
brother's
left.
my left.
You mentioned looking there more than one time.
Yeah, out of the side of my eye.
Right.
Maybe I turned just a little.
All right. Finally, when the salah is over and you did look completely over there, you saw 4 individuals who are not dressed in civilian clothes.
Right. They're dressed, with the robe and all that kind of stuff on, something over their head, because I didn't see any hair. They had something over their heads also.
They Kufi, but so what kind of dress were they dressed in if those are not civilian?
They were just like, like the Middle Eastern do.
Oh, like Middle Eastern not. Okay, I think I understand. They seem to be like Middle Eastern warriors of some nature, some time back. Gotcha.
Yes. Okay.
And then, they did this about face. They did the sujood. They came up to Brother Rafat where Brother Rafat was sitting. And they did a sujood. Was this a sujood, the bowing all the way down on the ground?
No. They just do,
the ruku'.
Like ruku'.
They did a ruku'. And all 4 of them did it at the same time.
No, they did not. Individually.
All right. Individually, they each did one ruku', and then they started walking.
And then they left.
All right. Yes. So as they left also, you said it seemed like they were ascending. They were going up into a second floor.
Yes. After they got out of that first row, as they were going on back towards the door, they seemed to be ascending.
Okay. And
as if they were going up steps on up to the second floor or something like that.
Yes. I just want to make sure now.
Okay.
Did you see anything like come out of them in terms of fuzz of any nature? Did you see?
No.
Nothing came out of them. Initially when you saw them, they appeared to be human beings to you.
Yes, because some of the brothers wear the regular. Some of them wear the dress like you do, and some of them they don't. But usually at
how do I dress? I'm sorry. How do I dress?
Well, you don't wear the civilian clothes.
I don't wear civilian clothes. I wear what kind of clothes?
How would you call it? The Middle Eastern clothes?
Yeah, well, you say, not me. You say what you saw.
Well, that's what I'm talking. In other words, they were not American clothes.
Okay.
Let's put it that way.
Okay, but you earlier did say that they appeared to be like warrior ship clothes from an earlier generation.
Well, you came up with the warrior. They
Right.
just look like normal Islamic wear.
Okay. All right. Was it the longer type or the shorter type?
Yes, the longer one,
The
longer
longer
type.
one. Okay.
And they didn't have the kufi. They had the something tied around their head.
Well, they had on the turban, in other words.
No, not a turban. The stuff, the stuff that you wear. You don't wear a turban. I've never seen you with a turban on.
Okay, so they were covering their hair, their heads with like a cloth.
Yes,
I see.
like that.
Right.
Because they had something tied around the cloth.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yes. So this happened. When did this happen?
Oh, this is also back in that time.
Okay, you're
I
saying
guess about five, at least all of these things I'm telling you 5 years ago, at least.
okay. Well, I can tell you for a fact that the spiritual allied coalition forces have been discovered to be right here in Richmond, Virginia for the past, at least for the past year. But that's what I've known personally,
What
right?
is that?
Yes,
What is
but
that?
what it is that you're saying goes back a little further than, when I myself detected. So I can't really um and I haven't spoken to you in a while also in terms of, this component of the
Yes.
thing. So that's been another reason. But inshallah, we will, we'll be in touch. We're going to talk more, inshallah.
Inshallah.